Hey, wrestling fans, and welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where two wrestling elitists discuss or review AEW events and wrestling news from around the world. At One Wing Wrestling, our motto is, we go where the elite go. I'm your host, Krishna and joining me today is Mr. Bill Cutbush. Bill, how's it going?
It's going. I'm actually going to let you know a little story right off the top. It's
Cool.
related to Christian, but only obliquely. But I had to tell you. Did you realize yesterday I go through Loudwire and Blabbermouth on a regular basis. Those are both like metal news sites, right? I'm going through them, and one of the headlines yesterday was Bring Me to Life tops iTunes chart after 19 years. It was number one yesterday on the iTunes charts. I'm relating that to Christian simply because, he has that
But,
Evanescence
but
intro.
why
But
why yesterday?
it's been going for like a week. They theorize it's because they're on tour right now with another
Oh,
band,
maybe.
and maybe that's suddenly
That's
boosted. But
prob
number
that's
one,
that's probably what
it's
it
insane.
is.
Which just I'd just like to point out, my only thing to that is great music will always rise to the top and be remembered no matter how long it goes.
I agree. I agree with that. Like,
Other than
hey,
that, my days,
look what's happened with Rainbow in the Dark, right? Like, I mean, played at the
yes.
end of Thor, and now it had a little mini resurgence as well.
Yeah, and I mean Eddie there with the Dio back patch for the entirety of season 4 of Stranger Things.
And his
So
name is Eddie.
his name is Eddie, but
Yeah, so
there's so many metal Eddies. Just it's the perfect name. But we won't get into my love affair with Eddie until Monday. Anyway,
cool.
yeah. Other than that, day's been going pretty well. Just started raining now, but got my walk in. How's your day going in this fine Toronto day?
It's been I had a really weird couple days. As you may or may not know, I probably have cracked and or damaged a tooth in my mouth, so it's very very hard for me to eat on one side. I thought it was one of those things that, hey, maybe it's just like something I can add some Sensodyne to or whatever. It happened on Friday. I should have realized when the pain literally stop me from even chewing, right? Like shot up and down my face, into my temple, right down my jaw, and that I should have realized that. But it's all just eating my left side. It's all good. But yesterday it hit again. And yeah, I realized I should be taking some like meds before. So I took some Advil. I am seeing the dentist now on Friday, which kind of messes things up because Friday is the start of Fan Expo. Whatever, obviously health comes first because this is something serious. I would hate to think that it's something it might be infected or anything like that, but I'm thinking most likely just a cracked tooth, which I hate. Anyways, that's what I've been dealing with, cracked tooth and stuff like that. And I'm like, right when one thing gets good, something else happens. I'm like, this is what happens when you turn 40 years old. You just start falling apart.
Well, I hear you cracked it on a chicken bone.
I did.
Yeah, and they have this kind of meat, that's not actually meat, but there's no bones in it.
Yeah, but as I told these vegans I'm speaking to right now, that hey, I could have cracked it on a nut. I could have cracked it on a seed. Either way, it could have been cracked any other way.
This is true. Maybe you just have weak
It was
teeth and they were
it
ready to
was my
crack.
time to
Yep,
crack my
yep.
tooth, I guess.
That's true, that's true. But speaking of cracking things, I don't know. Anyway, so what we do here on One Wing Wrestling, we're now going to talk about, predicting tonight's AEW Dynamite. We're gonna go away, come back, review the show. But before that, we're gonna get into a little segment that we call Keeping Up with the Elite. And we have a lot of news to cover tonight, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Let's get into it.
let's do that. First thing we're going to talk about is CM Punk backstage reports. Now, what do I mean by this? It's
The
like this
drama.
the drama. Well, not so. There's a lot of news that just came out in the last few hours. It's
Oh,
crazy.
okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently, he had a promo last week where he called out Adam Page, and
Mm-hmm.
this was not planned.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it has to do with like real life unresolved issues with Hangman.
Yeah.
So, fine. Meltzer reported this week on Tuesday during his Wrestling Observer broadcast that there's a ton of backstage drama involving many of the top guys that has gotten much worse in recent weeks. It all stemmed originally from Colt Cabana being cut and then
Yeah.
re-signed for,
Hurt.
or threats of him being cut and then being re-signed for ROH. But Adam Page was apparently like really upset about the way Colt Cabana was treated. And then Adam Page made that long promo at CM Punk right before their championship match that kind of came out of nowhere and was never really addressed anyway. But Meltzer didn't go into details about which other top talents are having issues with who or what, which, is kind of interesting because it kind of keeps it all to the level of there's some rumors. And then there were other rumors that said CM Punk was unhappy, but he's been pretty clear, right? I mean, he came out this week, earlier in the week, and said he was reflecting on his 1 year with the company, and he posted on social media. There's too many great moments and not enough space to post all the great pics. It's rekindled my passion, made new friends. I reunited with old ones. Can't stop smiling, won't stop until the wheels fall off. Thank you most of all to the fans who made it possible. So, I mean, that doesn't sound like a dude who's upset. That sounds
No,
like a dude who's happy to be where he is, right? And CM Punk's not exactly one to lie in his
lie.
social
Agreed.
media.
Agreed.
It's interesting though that the company has responded. Tony Khan is holding an all-talent meeting at Dynamite tonight. I'm assuming this will be before the show actually goes on the air or something like that. Tony Schiavone was talking earlier in the week how one of his roles now is, in talent relations, is to make AEW a better place to work. He's actively talking with talent backstage on how to improve things, especially communication. Um, Very interestingly, Punk also spoke with Sports Illustrated very recently.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and in that interview, and I'm going to quote him here, he said, "You try not to put too much stock in internet rumors, but for AEW, I definitely think that's part of our audience. Twitter's not real life, though. On top of that, a lie makes its way around the world twice before the truth puts his boots on and gets out of bed." He said, "If I addressed every rumor, I'd be here all day. I love AEW. It's not a competition of who loves it more, or who's the heart and soul, or who's this, or who's that. AEW allowed me a second chance to do what I do best, and that's professionally wrestle. My locker room is never closed. It's always open. Anyone who wants to DM Dave Meltzer some bullshit can come talk to me about it. It's not macho, stupid bullshit. I'm an adult. Come talk with me."
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it, right? It's rumors swirling. Like, is there some truth to it? Maybe. But they handle their stuff. Like, I mean, yeah, that Hangman promo that they were talking about was really awesome. Like, I really did like that promo where he's like, I'm not protecting um uh basically the belt from you. I'm protecting AEW from you, is what he was saying, right? The entire organization from you,
Hmm.
right? And that was kind of weird. I'm like, oh, okay, are they turning Hangman heel, or is this a baby face? I was so confused what was going on. So Punk's response to that, which came last Wednesday, in terms of, he said the apology. No, what did he say? Something about the something has to speak as loud as the action, or something like that, right? And
Yeah.
then he said in terms of, I'll give you some advice. And if anyone knows what he's talking about, it's what he's talking about is after Punk and certain people signed with AEW, Hangman had an interview and he was asked, so are you leaning on these guys for any help? And he said, I don't need it. Right. So,
Hmm.
there is some truth around these things, right? And now, is it just a bunch of guys with some ego problems? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But I mean, like, it's weird because I understand both sides of the story if it's true, right? Because yeah, like we always say, like the roster's bloated. We've lost people like Jack Evans and stuff like that who we really liked, for what, right? And like let's be real here. We love Miro and Malachi. Malachi's been having a pretty good run, I should say. Good. Miro, I don't know, right, what's happening with him. And it's like, okay, so you have these stars, which you've literally brought in and pushed aside other people. What are their storylines? What are they doing exactly, right? And this is where I think you're right. Tony Khan has addressed the whole, I brought in people to do stuff for me now. I can't do everything, right?
Hmm.
Hopefully this meeting is good. And again, the all that's happening here is the internet is going after the fact that, hey, Vince is gone, Triple H's regime is so much happier, so let's go after AEW. There has to be issues there, right? Because if Triple H was there, all the people who were there would want to go back. Quick tidbit: Swerve Strickland said he's not going back. His issues weren't with Vince, they were
Right.
actually with Triple H. So it's not
There,
everyone. Let's
yeah.
be real here,
Well,
right?
that
And
therein lies the
yeah,
problem, right? Because
yeah.
Triple H isn't necessarily like Punk has his issues with Triple H. Right? A
Exactly.
lot of people have had their
Yeah.
issues with Triple H. Triple H does the hard sell on the contract. And let's keep in mind, and this may have been Vince McMahon, but remember,
hmm
Triple H sat at his right hand for years and
Yeah.
years on how to run the business. He
Yep.
may understand wrestling booking better than Vince McMahon, but how to run the business, who do you think he learned it from?
Yep.
Right?
Hey.
And they're underhanded as heck.
Oh yeah.
They
Oh
will
yeah.
do anything to destroy their competition. Anything. I would say they might even go, if they were so inclined, to say, want to stir up trouble in the AEW locker room.
Yeah.
Because, hey, those guys are like WCW. They've been trying forever to say AEW is
It's
WCW, and the
WCW.
same things that happened to WCW are going to happen to AEW, right? But they miss out on a few points. One, it is a much more open locker room.
hmm
Right. Tony Khan's trying to address it. He's got people back there who know what the heck's going on trying to address it. And I think there are two very interesting splits on this, right? There's bringing in guys like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, who are superstars and will do
Yeah.
nothing but elevate AEW's brand. They have a right to be there. You know what I mean? If you can sign a CM Punk, you're signing CM Punk,
Yeah.
right? Miro, maybe, but I mean, how many big guys do you need? You had the homegrown Wardlow who plays
Yeah.
such a similar role,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, you look, I'm not going to love Wardlow anytime in the near future. I'm not loving Miro as much as I did
Exactly.
before. His promos are good, but I don't know. There's a lot of stagnation around him. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. There's so many of these guys he brought in where there's just stagnation, right? Like
Yeah.
Jay Lethal. Why is he on my TV right now? Great wrestler,
Yeah.
but his booking is terrible.
Yeah.
Why is he on my
Agreed.
TV?
Agreed.
So I see exactly what you're saying. There's the two sides. Here's some food for thought though.
hmm
One of the greatest feuds in WWE history happened in 1997. Who was it between?
Was it between WCW and
No, no. In WWE, Bret
oh, in
Hart
WWE?
and Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They legitimately didn't like each other
Yeah,
at all.
exactly. Exactly.
And you can use that to make amazing, amazing feuds. So you know what? I'm gonna say, all out, we're gonna see CM Punk versus Hangman Adam Page. And the promos leading up to it are going to be insane.
That was my thought as well. As you could tell, or as you probably saw him being the elite,
Mhm.
he was in the back room talking, helping out the Dark Order prepare for their trios match, and then the guy kind of walks in. They say, "Hey, Hangman, something Punk's in the ring," and then he gets cut off. He's like, "Get out of here!" They all kicked him out,
Yeah.
so he didn't know what happened.
That was great. Yeah, and then of course Evil Luna has to go off to the video game convention.
Yeah, he has to go do the video game thing, so
Yeah.
they now have a trio. Though they're all upset because they were planning on using four people in the trio. So you're
And don't
like
forget, there's 4 letters in trios.
trio, yeah, and I was like, no, there isn't.
No.
I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, no, there isn't. but
Yeah,
but
it was
that's the thing,
pretty
right?
great.
They made fun of it. Like
Hmm.
I don't know if you even picked like did you pick up on Kenny looking at the picture of Cody Rhodes and smiling as he's on the machine. I'm like, these guys are
Yeah.
such trolls, and I
Hmm.
love it. So yeah, on the whole CM Punk issue, I like the fact that Punk came out in front of this and said,
Hmm.
sure, anyone can go ahead and text Meltzer or whatever they want to, and people will believe it. But like, ask me. CM Punk is not quiet, as we know.
Hmm.
Ask him. Maybe
Yep.
he might come out and say, you know what? Yeah, there is an issue, but you know what? We're working this into a work,
Yep.
right? So,
Have I lied to you? Am I lying to you
yes,
right now?
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
The man has credibility. We'll give him
He
that
does.
much. You know,
Yeah.
he's never been shown to be a dishonest human being.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
maybe a bit of an attitude,
Oh,
but
and
not
also the story,
dishonest.
all the stories coming out about the AEW locker room being unhappy. They're talking about when these big names joined and the
Hmm.
fact that Sonny Kiss and people like that got pushed aside. Yeah, but you signed CM Punk and Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
What did you think was going to happen?
I mean, ask any wrestling company in the world. You
Yeah.
have your choice. You can book CM Punk or you can book Sonny Kiss.
Yeah.
Who are they
Or
booking?
Adam Cole or
Yeah, or
anyone else.
yeah,
Let's be real
exactly.
here. This is just nonsense.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it's good that, we could see some of these people that we really like on TV again. I'd love to see Kip Sabian come back, but It'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. But
Agreed.
speaking of people who seemed disgruntled, MJF, according to Dave Meltzer, MJF is currently scheduled to be returning somewhat soon. With
Damn you,
no
Dave Meltzer.
exact
Damn
time.
you.
He said it'll likely coincide with the negotiation of the upcoming TV deals in September.
Yeah. I the thing about MJF, the weird part about him is that I'll go back to the podcast we did on Monday where I was like hesitant to name Avatar like my most anticipated movie because there's been so much time in between.
Mm-hmm.
There's been so much time between MJF's pipe bomb and since he's been gone that do we still care at this point? Like unless he comes back and does something amazing, then I'm kind of like, yeah, that pipe bomb was back in June 1st or something like that. Like I don't care. Yeah, whatever. If he comes back, great. I just hope that it doesn't affect other storylines just to bring him back, right? Like if you have a storyline for him, perfect. But like make sure it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like just make sure it makes sense.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. I mean, in all honesty, and I've said this repeatedly, I don't care. I'm at the point where I just don't care if MJF comes back or not. We don't need him. We've got lots of guys. We've got lots of guys that can talk. Whatever. Next. It's like I'm sure if they bring him back and they give him a good storyline, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? I mean, I don't dislike the guy. He's a good promo. He's decent in the ring. You get him in the right storyline, just don't, like you just said.
I'm just over the pay me more thing.
Oh,
get out of here.
Enough,
honestly,
enough.
Enough is enough. Like, get out. If you want to make the big bucks, go to WWE, right? Yep. And wrestle mediocre stars there and storylines and do what you will. I don't care, yep. Right? But if you want to be here, be here. And that's my whole problem. AEW has the elite, the people I love.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. I don't care.
Yep. Right? I know. They've got, just AEW is where it's at still. As long as the elite are there, as long as, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, I mean, they've just got so many quality guys.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they worst segue ever. The other thing that they don't have is Edge. What? Bad segue. I need to go back to segue school. Anyway, apparently,
speaking of WWE,
thank you. That's better. We'll go with that one. Speaking of WWE, take this one away, Krishna.
Sure. So, Raw was in Toronto this past Monday. Didn't even realize until they said like in Toronto. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But then again, you have to understand that I'm not actively watching Raw. I was flipping channels and I'm like, oh, here we go. But apparently after Raw went off the air, Edge seemingly announced when he's planning on retiring. And he said, he's looked at the calendar and it looks like every August WWE returns to Toronto. And he said the next time I return, maybe we just say goodbye to each other. And I was like, oh, that's a nice little, he's Toronto, homegrown Toronto boy. Like, he's listen, you can't hate Edge. Okay. You can't hate Edge. He's had some of the funniest storylines, like him and Christian, they were awesome. Like even the Rated R Superstar. I love the Rated R Superstar. And until today, probably has one of the best theme songs there is, hands down, right? Hands down. So the fact that he said that, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I really wanted to bring this up just to, obviously, because I'm a Leaf fan. He ended his entire segment by saying, I'm going to say something and I want you all to chant with me. And he just started saying, go Leafs, go. And they started chanting it together. And I'm like, you know what, Edge? I like you. I like you. You could be my friend. So, that he's had a good career. And he's one of those people where, that, well, he said in his promo, he's like, he was away. So you remember CM Punk being away for 7 years?
Yep.
He was away for 9. I didn't even realize that.
Wow.
9, almost a decade he was away. I was like, wow. But yeah, he remember his retirement promo before. He said like if he wrestles again, he may not walk.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and that was shocking. That was the first time I was ever shocked about something like that. But like it's great, Toronto boy retirement announcement, kinda. But we'll see. Like I just thought it was a really nice thing that he did for the Toronto fans.
I agree. And I just want to send out my apologies to the town of Orangeville. since Edge is technically from Orangeville, Ontario, and not Toronto. So they bill him from Toronto in WWE, but he's really from a smaller town north of Toronto. But as is Christian. But they also bill him from Toronto,
From Toronto.
Ontario, Canada. And Orangeville just keeps getting slapped around because I guess no one internationally knows where Orangeville, Ontario is, but that's okay. Yeah, no, it was a classy thing. I was glad to have heard of it. I
Yeah.
didn't know Raw was in here either. I
Yeah, I
never
was like,
catch
what?
Raw. I don't flip channels because I don't have cable, so I had no idea Raw was even on, blah blah blah. But yeah, no, he's a classy guy, and the minute you told me that this was happening, immediately his theme song got stuck in my head.
See,
So yeah,
told you.
one of the best theme songs ever in professional
Yeah.
wrestling is his theme song. Everyone knows it, and then everyone makes puns about seeing clearly when they talk about Edge. So
Yeah.
anyway, there's one more little piece of news that I thought was kind of interesting coming out of
Hmm.
New Japan Pro Wrestling. They have added an IWGP Women's Championship, which is a huge change for this promotion that has been male only for quite a while. I mean, we've talked on here before that they've got a deal now with Stardom Wrestling, which is a Joshi league in Japan. Um, this belt, the new belt, might be defended on Stardom shows as well, but it's apparently not going to rank higher on Stardom than Stardom's own championships, of course. There's going to be a tournament to determine the first champion with matches that'll take place at Royal Quest 2 in England and then at two Stardom events. The finals will be held in an NJPW Stardom crossover show on November the 20th, and the very first title defense has already been announced too, which will take place at Wrestle Kingdom 17 on
Hmm.
January the 4th, 2023.
No, this is big news. This is good news for New Japan. Remember when we were talking about Forbidden Door, and I was like, so the only match for women on Forbidden Door was AEW versus AEW. I'm like, why wouldn't you just do this match on Dynamite or something like that? Like, what's the
Battle of
purpose?
the
There's
Belts.
literally no Forbidden Door opening here for this match. This is a good move. This is a good move. This is showing me that the AEW New Japan partnership is going to continue into the future, and I like this. Not only that, obviously, it's great to see women in New Japan. Like that's great news. Like this is awesome. Like you don't have to go to Japan and wrestle for the Joshi wrestling thing, right? It's actually now going to be part of New Japan. Like I think this is big news. So congratulations, New Japan. That this is good for the women in Japan, and also the women from anywhere around the world that want to go challenge for that belt as
Well,
well.
keep in mind, like Royal Quest 2 takes place in England. There's going to be some British wrestlers, international
Mm-hmm.
wrestlers there. So yeah, we could be seeing Britt Baker, D.M.D, IWGP Women's Champion. So
Yep.
that would be kind of great because sure it will be defended at Stardom, but who says it also can't be defended on AEW TV?
And that's it, right? I personally enjoy these belt swaps that happen. Like, oh my god,
Mhm.
this New Japan person can take our belts, right? I say our belt because I'm like AEW, or we take the New Japan belt. I think this is all. I love it.
Yep.
Like it's like, oh my god, they're going to war with each other, but really they're in a partnership, and this is pretty cool what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's not like WCW versus WWE back in the
Oh,
'90s. It's
the
not like
invasion
that
angle,
garbage.
that
Yeah,
one in
yeah,
the early
so
2000s.
stupid. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, we
So
won't.
so this is great. Like I just think this is great news for just women's wrestling in general.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we also have a card tonight to go through before
Let's do this.
Dynamite starts. So, shall we get to it?
Let's do this.
Okay, Dynamite tonight is coming to us from Cleveland, Ohio. And the first match that we're going to take a look at is Billy Gunn versus his son, Colton Gunn.
Why? Why are we having this match on Dynamite? Like, why isn't this like Rampage match or something like that, right? Or even like a dark match. Like, I get Billy Gunn has clout. Billy Gunn has clout. His son does not have anything,
No.
right? Like, let's be real here. Colton Gunn, do I care? They're not bad wrestlers. I just don't care about this right now. Like, this is not, I'm focused on the trios tournaments, and I just don't care about this. So that's all I have to say. I don't care about this match.
Yep. I also don't care, so we're going to move along. Ricky
Nice.
Starks appears.
So I guess he's gonna confront Hobbs, right? I guess I don't know where this is going. Obviously, it's leading up to their match at No Way Out. So hopefully he cuts a good promo. I don't know about him cutting a face promo, though he did it, and then that's why Hobbs attacked him. But who knows? Like I love Ricky Starks. I think if AEW loses him, like that's gonna be like when we talk about the four pillars. Like I'm shocked Ricky Starks is not in that talks.
There's like 10 pillars. Let's
Yeah,
face
exactly,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, no, that yeah, I'm I'm sure it'll be about Hobbs. I'm hoping it sets up their match. We still need to flesh out more of the, 378 matches that we're going to have it all out. So, because the show's got to go to about 4:30 in the morning, I'm guessing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
probably.
they're going to have to add Ricky Starks to this and Hobbs to this. So, I figure, by the end of tonight, we'll probably know. They've only got what 2 or 3 more weeks now till all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So,
no, next week is all out.
what?
Yeah, next weekend is all out. Like this, not this weekend coming up, but the next weekend is all out. That's a
You
long
are
weekend.
correct, sir.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So next weekend is all out. They really need to sign some matches. So yes, I'm going
Exactly.
to guess tonight the match will be signed.
Yep.
Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia meet face to face.
Do you think the turn happens today? Do you think Garcia goes like face and joins the Blackpool Combat Club, and then at the pay-per-view it's Jericho versus Garcia? Like I don't know what's gonna happen here. It's either it is gonna happen or it isn't, and the turn happens at the pay-per-view, and that's
I,
all I'm
I'm
thinking about.
I'm thinking that Garcia is a little bit torn,
Hmm.
and Jericho's mad, and Brian Danielson's going to come out, and Jericho and Danielson are going to have a match, and they're going to put Daniel Garcia on a pole, and they're going to have this match at All Out.
Daniel Garcia on a pole match. All right, Bill
Yeah.
booked it already.
Yep. Daniel Garcia. No, I'm looking forward to this because I think Daniel Garcia and I like where he's going right now.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We've got some potentially good promos all around coming out of this with Jericho, Brian Danielson potentially appearing. We'll see what happens. Um After that, I don't know if after that, but I'm gonna guess around 9:30, we're gonna have Dr. Britt Baker D.M.D taking on KiLynn King.
I think this match is gonna show that the match from last week with Tony Storm, just how like mediocre it was, right? Because Kylan King is really good, and Britt Baker, we know she's awesome. So it's just gonna be a showcase of what AEW, like the potential of the AEW women's division could be, with some practice, right? So I think this is gonna be a decent match, or a good match, I should say.
Yep, me too. Me too. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you've replaced Tony Storm with Britt Baker.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and KiLynn King, we were both impressed with her last week.
Hmm.
So we're going to take someone that we are both impressed with up against Britt Baker instead of Tony Storm, and it can't help but be hopefully a good match.
Yep. Agreed.
Yep. So then we get into now we're into the meat and potatoes, the
Hmm.
beyond meat and potatoes of our evening. Dax Harwood versus Jay Lethal.
So I said Dax Harwood is probably the most improved wrestler I've seen this year. When Cash went down, he was having those single matches. He looked fantastic. Jay Lethal is really good, so I think this is going to be a very very good match. Hopefully, there aren't any shenanigans with the whole Wardlow and Satnam Singh, all that stupidness. Like again, I don't understand why at the pay per view there's a trios match and there's a trios tournament. I'm so confused. Why are these guys? Why can't Dax and Cash fight someone else? Like because they're the tag team champions. Why can't they fight? Sorry, IWGP. Is it IWGP or
They're the
um
IWGP and the
Triple A champions? Why are they
champions.
not fighting Swerve and Keith Lee? This
That
is what I'm talking about.
is the
Booking is
million
bad.
dollar
Yeah,
question
I
because
don't get it.
that would be a match I would love to see.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
This match tonight, yeah, you know what? The two are great wrestlers. It is going to be a shenanigans filled crap fest.
Ugh.
I am betting a lot of money that this is just going to be shenanigans, shenanigans, shenanigans to build up the trios match at All Out because we're into pay per view build mode right
Yep,
now.
agreed.
So this is all going to be let's build up the trios match. Now, are we going to get 7 minutes or so of good wrestling between these two?
Probably.
Probably, and I'll enjoy that. But it's all going to be tainted by the fact that one, I don't care about Jay Lethal.
Yeah,
Two, I really don't care about his posse. And
yeah.
three, I don't care about Wardlow. So really, all that I care about in this whole match is FTR, and I
Yeah,
wish they were fighting someone else at
somebody
the
else.
pay-per-view. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, now we move into a couple of very interesting matches. We have the AEW World Trios Championship Tournament quarterfinals, Death Triangle. We have Ray Fenix, we have Penta, and we have Pac
Pop.
taking
Yeah.
on Will Ospreay and Aussie Open.
Yeah, this is gonna be my match of the night. Like guarantee. I'm not even hesitating. This is gonna be the match of the night for me. It's everything I want in wrestling. It's a high flying. It's crazy. It's like we know Death Triangle, how nuts they are, and we just know how amazing Will Ospreay is. All right, hands down, amazing. Funny thing is that we have our thoughts about how this match is going to end. Is Kip Sabian going to interfere? You know, Kenny called him out on the in his little promo at the end of last week,
Yeah.
right? So is Kip Sabian, like, they're really drawing attention to him. So will he be the one to cost Death Triangle? Because you can't have these, you can't these two teams are top teams, right?
Mhm.
So you can't, well, you can have one team like beat the other team, but it's not gonna help them move forward in any way. So I'm thinking this is where it is going to be Kip Sabian costing the match for Death Triangle. Um and Will Ospreay obviously moving on to face Kenny Omega. My whole thing is Kenny gonna show up tonight? Are the Elite gonna show up tonight? Fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
Probably. Um, you know, too, Will Ospreay lost his match
I heard.
against Okada. And it
Yeah.
was interesting too, the match itself. He was trying to beat Okada with everything that other people have beat him with. So you know what he used to try to put Okada down? V trigger followed up by a one-winged angel again.
Oh
Of course,
no, no,
he
no.
also used the Styles Clash and all kinds of other moves, but nah, he wasn't able to pull it off. But anyway, I couldn't agree more. This is going to be the match of the night. I can't think of anything else being the match of the night with these six guys in the ring. Now, I'll get to a possibility in a moment, but these six guys are going to put on a show.
Yeah.
It's going to be a show like nobody's business. It's another, I mean, how we get Will Ospreay again.
Yeah.
Will Ospreay the week
I
after we just got Kenny Omega.
I'm in wrestling heaven. I'm in
Yeah, I
wrestling
know.
heaven right now.
It's and then to make it even better, you know, we're gonna have this high flying match, and then we're gonna follow it up with CM Punk versus Jon Moxley for the undisputed AEW World Championship.
So my question is, do they are they going to bookend again? Are they going to put the quarterfinal match first, then everything else, and then the championship match?
Probably,
Mm.
probably, because I think that, you know, and then the 9 o'clock match will be like Harwood and
Yeah,
or they'll bring out Jericho and Garcia at that point.
and have their
Yeah,
talk or whatever.
yeah, and then 9:30 we'll get a quick, you know, match, and then we'll go into the main event. Yeah. No, okay, but we also have CM Punk now versus Jon Moxley.
Champion
What do you
versus
think?
interim champion.
What do you think?
After the whole the confrontation last week, this should be a good match. As I said, Punk looked in great shape last week. He was in great shape. Um, I think, again, I'm not a huge fan of Jon Moxley's wrestling, but as I said, he has been impressing me more and more recently, right? He's leaned down, obviously. He's fought his demons. He's better now, and he looks good. I'm hoping for a good match. I think they are going to have a good match. What happens in this match, I don't know. Some like, do we have Jon Moxley lose fairly to Punk, and then Punk challenges Adam Page? Who knows? But I think this match itself is going to be a very good match. Again, close second to the obviously my top match of the night, which is going to be the trios match. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in this match. I really just don't know.
I'll tell you what's going to happen in this match. Punk's going to win, but he's going to cheat.
Mm.
This is and it's going to be subtle cheating. It's not going to be like he clonks him over the head with a belt or anything. But it's not necessarily going to be fair. I think we're going to start to see those heel elements to Punk now because I think that's the direction he's going. All right. I think all of this, they're going to use this backstage stuff. And, you know, that comment he made last week about you can be the heart and soul, I'll be the money.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm.
Like those are heel lines. Right. So, you know, I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to beat Moxley.
Oh,
I am going to love this match because
okay.
the thing is, as you point out, both these guys are in great shape. They're both really good at that story element in the ring, especially Punk a lot of the time. I'm counting on a really good story. This makes it a dark horse that if they tell it well enough and the wrestling's good enough, this could overtake the
Could
trios
steal
matches
the night.
match of the night.
Agreed.
Especially for
Agreed.
me, because you know how much I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, CM Punk for me is like on the same level as Kenny Omega. So So, it's my boy and he's going to be fighting and it's hard for me to say it might not be match of the night. So, I've got
Fair
to at
enough.
least give him the dark horse rating there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the ironic dark horse, since we could see Hangman at the end of this, but anyway, so yeah,
Oh.
that's the Dynamite card tonight.
Hmm.
It looks like we're going into some very interesting territory. There's a lot that could happen. I agree. I want to see the Elite tonight somewhere.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because remember, we still have another week of wrestling before All
Hmm.
Out. So why are they having this match right now? They have to be something big is happening. I can feel it. Something big is going to happen because next week is going to be the confirmation of who's fighting who at all. Well, obviously, it's a couple days away from next week, but it's who's fighting for the championship is going to be decided next week.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Um, well, what if we have a scenario though where Death Triangle wins? They face the Elite in the semifinals, but Will Ospreay screws it up.
I've thought about that scenario. Um, it works. It
Mm-hmm.
does work to kind of propel Kenny forward. But as Kenny said in his promo, he's not going to be doing singles matches like right away. He's going to take his time to get back into it. So I'm wondering like how long he's actually
Yeah.
talking about, right?
And as he pointed out, right, like he was mocking Brandon Cutler and beating up Michael Nakazawa. So it's not like we're getting good guy Kenny anytime
No,
soon,
and he said
right?
he's not good. He said I'm not a good guy,
And
right?
that
I
was
might cheat to
they were
win.
they were really mean to Brandon. I would just like to point that out. I felt really bad for Brandon on
I
being the
love I
Elite.
love like when they were like
Yeah, they
the
kept
video.
turning the camera and he was turning it back around to himself. Yeah, that was, oh my God. If
He's
you
like,
guys haven't seen Being the
there was
Elite
no
this
one that
week,
that could
yeah,
have like substituted for you. So yeah, it was yeah,
yeah,
I laughed.
yeah, I
Poor
laughed
Brandon
too,
Cutler.
but I was also sad.
Poor Nakazawa.
Poor Brandon Cutler. Anyway, well, we have a show to watch.
Let's go watch it.
Let's go watch it. We'll be back in a couple hours, but to you guys, it'll be like we never left. We're back. What
We are back.
the hell did I just watch?
What are you talking about? Are you talking about the great match at the ending? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about like the whole. Listen, I'm gonna say this right off. I'm so emotional right now, and I'm gonna tell you this. This is why I love professional wrestling. This Dynamite, and I mean all of it.
Mhm.
The
Okay,
highs,
okay.
the
The
lows,
lows.
everything. Because I have spent my life, I have over 50 years of life now, and I have spent most of it loving professional wrestling. I get asked a lot, why? You know why? Because of the emotions that this form of sports entertainment can evoke in me, period. Tonight was the prime example. My emotions were tugged in every single bloody direction that you could imagine. And I cannot wait to talk about this show as a result.
Yeah, it was quite the show, and the unexpected happened, and I was like, what in the heck is going on? But let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Holy crap. We got a lot to go through. So
Mhm.
this Dynamite came to us from Cleveland, Ohio at the Wolstein Center. We had started off with, I guess, sort of a four-man commentary team, but Tony quickly left. We have JR, Taz, and Excalibur for most of the show. Now, we had predicted that they were going to bookend the show with some matches. They didn't do that.
No, no.
We started right out. Did you notice at the beginning the Dynamite stuff was up on the screen? The Jericho Appreciation
JS was
Society
show.
logo
Yeah,
came up,
yeah, I
and
saw
I'm like,
that.
oh, they're starting with that. And then anyway. So Jericho comes out, gets in the ring, and he says, "You sound loud tonight, Cleveland. Welcome to Dynamite." And he was right. This crowd was pumped all to heck. I mean, they didn't stop for like the entire show.
No,
Anyway,
oh, they're good.
Jericho goes on and says, "Okay, so last week there was a bit of an issue between myself and a favorite member of mine of the Jericho Appreciation Society. So we agreed to come out here tonight, work out our issues face to face, bring out one of my favorite people in the world today, future world champ and my protege, Daniel Garcia." So Garcia comes out, and I note that he's kind of lost the sports entertainer look here. He's wearing a T-shirt that said Buffalo Kids and a pair of jeans, and he doesn't have the hat.
Oh,
Crowd's chanting at him, "You're a wrestler" again. Jericho says, "I'm trying to be civil about this. Please shut up," to the crowd. And he tells them, "Don't listen to them. They don't understand the connection we have. See, last week you slayed the dragon, in my opinion, and it was a classic match. Emotions were running high. You put your hands on me, you slapped my hands away. Hey, you just went through hell. You were disappointed you lost. We can work it out fast. All you have to do is apologize to me. Crowd chants no. Garcia says, you knew how special that moment
Mhm.
was to me. You knew how special it was to share the ring with my hero, Bryan Danielson. I went 30 minutes with my hero. People are calling it the greatest match in Dynamite history. Clearly, they listened to our podcast last week when I went on about it. I hung with my hero for 30 minutes, the best wrestler in the world. That match that I had, it's the kind of match I always dreamt of having as a kid. I got to have it last week. I hope there's someone watching at home that wants to have that match too, feels the same way I felt. And when Brian stuck out his hand to me and asked for a sign of respect, I didn't care what people called me. I just cared about that moment, and you ruined it. You ruined that moment for me, Chris. Jericho says, listen, sorry you feel that way. I want to remind you that there will be plenty of moments like that for you because you are the greatest technical sports entertainer in the world today. You know, inside you're a sports entertainer. I want to hear you say it. Crowd chants, you're a wrestler again. Now, at this point, Bryan Danielson's music hits. He gets in the ring and he says, Daniel, speaking to Garcia, of course, I see that your mentor here is trying to bully you into saying you're a sports entertainer. You can be whatever you want to be. I respect us wrestling last week. In my opinion, I agree with all these people that you're a wrestler. Jericho says, you're really going to do this to me? You're a sports entertainer. I want to hear you say it. Now, look at me. So Garcia gets really upset now and he says, stop it. I have my mentor here and I have my hero here, and you're trying to make a decision in front of these people. Leave me alone. Jericho grabs him. Garcia shoves him down. Jericho looks shocked. Crowd's chanting, you deserved it at Jericho. Garcia leaves using the face tunnel.
Mhm.
Bryan Danielson says, I'm not the biggest fan of sports entertainment, but that was pretty entertaining. And Jericho says, you know what pisses me off? People keep telling me you're the best wrestler in the world today. I've been around for 15 years, haven't seen it once. Others might say I'm the greatest of all time. If you talk about longevity changing in the course of history, I am. Want to talk wrestling? I'm the last survivor of the Heart Dungeon. I'm the Lionheart. I know more about wrestling than you ever will. Danielson just says, do you now? Say we could ask Stu Hart who the better wrestler is. What do you think he'd say? Or your hero, Owen Hart? Who would he say? We wrestled a match right here in Cleveland with the Lionheart. What if we wrestled a match right here in Cleveland with the Lionheart and the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson? Who do you think would win that match? And Jericho says, you want the American Dragon versus Lionheart? Well, you got it. September 4th at All Out.
All
Big
out.
boo from the crowd. But keep this in mind. Last time I was in the ring with you, I choked you out and put you out for 2 months. And until then, watch your back because you never know when I might be hitting you. And Jake Hager attacks Bryan Danielson from behind, takes him down, and that's how we end the segment.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is good. This is good. It did what it needed to do to progress the story with Daniel Garcia, because like it's like, will he, won't he? Will he join? Will he leave the JAS? Will he not? Sets up a match, Daniel Bryan versus Daniel Bryan. I said Daniel Bryan because he almost said Daniel Bryan as well.
Yes.
So Bryan Danielson versus Jericho at All Out. We had said they need to start booking matches. And guess what they did tonight? They booked matches for
They
all
booked all the
of us.
matches. They heard me. They're like, he wants the show to go to 4:30 a.m. We're taking it to 4:30 a.m.
Yeah, I enjoyed this show. I thought sorry, this show, the segment. I thought I was surprised it started off like this, but it got it out of the way quick, right? And now
Yep.
you're kind of like, what's going to happen next? So I liked it. I really
Yep.
did.
Oh yeah, me too. No, this was great. All of them played their parts really well. Garcia conflicted between his hero and his mentor, Jericho being his usual, like, yeah, but it's all about me. Apologize to me. Of course it's about me. You're a sports entertainer. I love you, blah, blah, blah. And then of course, Bryan Danielson just tell him the truth, who really is the better wrestler
Hmm.
between us, and
Hmm.
it's pretty clear. Though, as Jericho says, if you wanted to look at pro wrestling sports entertainers, Jericho might be the greatest of all
Yeah.
time. It's hard to say, right? So, you know, great segment. Good way to start off Dynamite. At this point, the Bill level of hype and enjoyment, we're sitting at about an 8. So I'm enjoying myself so far. Then Dax Harwood's music hits, and we're getting Dax Harwood versus Jay Lethal. Now, interestingly, Cash goes straight to the back from the ramp after, basically wishing Dax luck. And Jay Lethal sends Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh to the back too.
Mhm.
So we're actually getting a one-on-one
One-on-one.
match to start it off. So these guys started off, they feel each other out with a series of reversals. There's an arm drag into a cartwheel sitting drop kick by Lethal that looked pretty good. Chop exchanges in the corners. These were loud chops, and they
Hmm.
did a lot of them. The first sequence ended in a back body drop by Harwood, but I mean, they messed each other's chests up bad. Lethal takes control during the commercial break. Back suplex, standing elbow drop for two. He goes for a top rope elbow, but Dax interrupts him. Interrupts him basically by getting him to straddle the top rope. And JR says, "You can't go to wrestling school and learn how to counter that one. We don't go there and start doing, okay, today, guys, we're doing straddles on the steel." Oh, I love JR. Lethal then went for the double sledge, but it was stopped into a German series by Dax with a nice release German on the third one. Lethal counters another German into a figure four setup, but that gets countered by Dax, ending in a lethal combination, though, for two.
Yeah.
Um, Lethal does that vicious dragon screw in the ropes and then a tope suicida to the outside. There's a figure four applied in the center of the ring, but Dax manages to get to the ropes. Dax tries for the sharpshooter, gets countered into the figure four, but that gets countered into a small package for two. Lethal injection gets countered into a slingshot Liger bomb for a near fall. Harwood goes for the sharpshooter again, but that gets countered. Dragon screw you hear see the number of counters I'm saying here. Dragon screw gets countered into a small package for two. The sharpshooter finally gets applied in the center, but now Sanjay Dutt shows up. And so you get a roll up by Lethal for two, but in AEW, the interruption roll up almost never works. So this just leads to an exchange of pin attempts and eventually another set of pin attempts, ending in Lethal winning by pulling the tights. We'll
Yeah.
get to the afterwards after.
Yeah, no, this match it was great. I thought it was really good. Like as I said, Dax Harwood is one of the most improved wrestlers I've seen this year. And we know Jay Lethal is good. So like the fact that they started this match off with no one there, great, good job. We didn't need more shenanigans than we got, right? I understand why we got the last one because it set up the match. Um, but yeah, no, I enjoyed this match. I thought it was very like old school wrestling, but it's weird because it's old school but new school at the same time, right? Because they're not moving slowly. These guys are moving pretty quickly, right? And yeah, no, I thought this match was great.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think there's an important distinction too between some of the old school stuff that was guys
Mhm.
like Ricky Steamboat
Yeah.
and Ric Flair in his prime and guys like that who did tend to move faster. Like there was more rest holds and stuff like that back then, or it moved a little slower. But someday we'll go back and review some of those shows. I think it'd be fun.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, this was definitely like chops, hard hits, takedowns, that kind of stuff. But it was really entertaining. I
Yeah.
enjoyed this match. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this was a 5-star classic or anything, but it was a darn good,
It was a good
enjoyable
match.
match for like
Yeah.
the opening match on Dynamite. You know, there was a little bit of interference, but not so much it really took away from the match at all. I mean, Lethal wins with a pull on the tights, but I'm still not sure how that exactly helps with the pin. Is it just the guy doesn't want to get mooned? I guess leverage on the tights. I've never gotten this one, but anyway, yeah, it was a solid match. I enjoyed myself. And then after the match, I enjoyed this more because Sanjay Dutt says the trios wasn't necessarily for All Out who they thought. It's going to
Hmm.
be Lethal, but it's going to be with their two good friends, the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. And I couldn't have been happier.
I'm not too familiar with these guys. I know that they're pretty good, but anyone's better than Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh, right? So I was like, oh, cool. So Jay Lethal actually has tag partners to face off against, well, I guess FDR and Wardlow, but I mean like FDR, right? So yeah, though this was really good. This was AEW course correcting, right? It's kind of like, hey, we're gonna have this match, and like no one cares to see that. Like no one wants to see that. And I think they listened and they changed it. So that I'm happy they did that.
I'm becoming convinced Tony Khan listens to our podcast. But anyway, I was ecstatic about this because I'm going to tell you a story about the Motor City Machine Guns. Back, I was looking for wrestling that was better than the semi-boring WWE that was on like around 2010-ish.
Hmm.
Around the time that Bret Hart was coming back for that wonderful match he had with Vince McMahon. You remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah,
The revenge match.
oh, that was anyway. Yeah, no, but I was watching at that point TNA was on TV and the Motor City Machine Guns were there. And at this time too, the tag teams in the WWE were garbage on a stick. The tag belts were just all over the place. They sucked. You know who had a really good tag division? TNA.
You know,
They did.
fair.
And the Motor City Machine Guns were part of, the Young Bucks still do the Motor City Machine Guns finishing moves as part of their moveset, right?
Okay. Okay. I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, they do. And these guys were innovators in some of that double team, semi high flying offense that you see today. These guys are good, and they've been around. They've still been wrestling. They're in ROH. They've been in ROH for the last few years, which is probably why they're now showing up in
Mm-hmm.
AEW.
Mm-hmm.
They're good. I think that we are in for a heck of a treat because the Motor City Machine Guns versus FTR, yeah, that to me sounds like a really good match.
And it makes sense for continuing storylines as to why the tag champions of AEW haven't fought the tag champions of ROH and AAA, right?
Right.
Because they're going to have a storyline now where where it will be Dax and Cash versus the Motor City Machine Guns in a regular tag match going forward. So this is good future building storylines, and I'm
Oh,
I'm
for
happy
sure.
for that.
Yeah, me too. It's a much better direction. I am much more excited. Remember I was saying earlier I don't want to see this match.
Yeah,
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 now I'm hyped for it because there's only
nice.
one guy in the match that I think doesn't really belong in the match, and that's Wardlow. But I can put up with Wardlow with five other
Five
good
other guys,
wrestlers in the
exactly,
ring. Yeah, I can
exactly.
live with that. I'm fine. So yeah. Yeah, this was good news. So right now, Bill hype level staying at an 8. That was a solid match. I'm quite happy. Then we get Tony Schiavone in the back with some major news about a championship. Thunder Rosa is in tears in the back, and she says, "I'm letting you down. I have to step down." She chokes up, like she seems
Mm-hmm.
legitimately upset here, and it's not surprising. She says, "I can't defend my belt due to an injury, so there's going to have to be a new interim women's champ." And she goes, "Tony Storm, I hope your dreams come true. I hope you win." And then she says, "But I want to let all of you know this won't stop me. I'm going to come back better, stronger, with a bigger chip on my shoulder." So that's the news. She had to step away as the champion. It looks like she's not giving up the belt. They're going to do the same thing they did with CM Punk. And Excalibur announces there will be a 4-way to crown the new champ at All Out. And it looks like we're getting Tony Storm, Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, and Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, yeah. It's oddly Simon Miller from one of the wrestling shows I watch. He wrestled in San Antonio a couple days back, and Thunder Rosa was having an event there. My assumption is that's where she got injured at her own wrestling event. It
Mhm.
sucks, she does seem a bit torn up about it because she did want a longer run. But the card just got better again. Look at the wrestlers you just minus Tony Storm. Look at the wrestlers you just introduced into
Mhm.
a 4-way tag, 4-way match for the belt. Yeah, this women's match is just escalated to a point where I'm like, yeah, this totally eclipses what Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm was going to be.
Oh, I
So
know,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like it's heads and tails. I'm like, oh, now we have Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D,
yep,
and Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida all on All Out. Okay, thank you. You just took three of the best women's wrestlers in AEW and you put them into the match.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and Tony Storm,
And Tony,
who unfortunately I think may win that match. But I
I'm same. I'm
mean,
thinking she
yeah.
might win that match too because again, Hater and Britt, something's gonna happen. But anyways, I think you're right.
But we will have plenty of opportunity to discuss that match before All Out.
Correct.
But I think you're right. But anyway, it's still better news. So now I'm at, oh, wow. Like, okay, I'm sad that I don't want to see anybody get injured. Thunder Rosa, it sucks that she's injured and can't
Yeah,
defend her championship and stuff. I am happy we're getting a better match. So
yeah.
my hype level, still at an 8. And then the guns come out. Okay, now my hype level immediately drops to about a 4. So Colton Gunn versus Billy Gunn. Billy comes out with the acclaimed. Of course he does. And Max does his rap and he says stuff about Billy should have used a condom, and they're the ass boys. I missed some other stuff. He says something about a backroom meeting, but that
Yeah.
was
Remember we talked about the backroom meeting that they're
yes,
holding,
exactly.
right? He's
Oh
like,
yeah,
we
yeah.
should.
So he mentioned something about it. And then there was a match. There's a point where Billy stomps the heck out of Colton. The ref had to stop him. He looked conflicted. Um, then near the end, you notice I skipped over most of the match because it was just a regular wrestling match. Stokely dropped Max Caster on the outside somehow. Austin took down Bowens, and then Colton hit his father with a low blow while the ref was distracted, rolls him up for 3 count, and then Colton and Austin took Stokely's business card, beat down the Acclaimed until they were interrupted by Swerve and Our Glory. Well, they were interrupted by Swerve Strickland because Swerve Strickland actually ran down to the
Yeah.
ring and ran them off. Well, Keith Lee ambled slowly down the
Scroll
ramp.
down.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't, okay, so I don't know what this match did for the Gun Club, but I know what it did for the Acclaimed, right? Like I didn't get the direction they were going here because I was like, so the Acclaimed and the Gun Club have unfinished business, okay, but we know exactly why Stokely and Keith Lee are saving them. That's kind of obvious. But yeah, I mean, you know what? The best thing about this match is it didn't take too long. It did take longer than I thought, but you know what? It could have been longer. So it was, in and out, done. The Gun Club cheated. They beat down their dad. I still have no clue why anyone wants to sign with Stokely, to be honest with you. And yeah,
It is Austin and Colton Gunn. I mean, they're not very
yeah,
smart.
yeah. So yeah, no, I just love the fact that they captured Austin and Colton running through the audience, and they're just giving everyone the finger as
Yeah.
they're running by.
Yep. Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
can't disagree. I didn't care. I was like,
yeah,
okay, some stuff happened, and you know what the problem with all this stuff with the guns is? It's made me lose some love for the Acclaimed. I'm
yeah,
just kind of,
because
oh look, it's the Acclaimed with Billy
the gun,
Gunn.
yeah.
Ugh, why? Anyway, so yeah, I was my favorite moment was when Swerve and Our Glory came out and Swerve Strickland ran them off, and I was like, yay. Anyway, we go in the back, so now my hype level's like, a 5. But then we go in the back and we see Death Triangle and Aussie Open, and I instantly escalate back up to an 8. Because Will Ospreay says, long time no see. We had a 30-minute draw last time we fought, but we have one mission, brother. More gold for the United Empire. And Pac says, Will, you need to understand we've waited far too long for this opportunity. We're not going to kill you. We're going to murder
Murder.
you. AEW is Death Triangle territory, and you find that out tonight. I had no idea the Death Triangle was literally a death triangle.
Yeah, they're murderers. I don't know how they're not arrested and in jail, right? But they're allowed to walk free at AEW apparently.
Nope.
Um, but yeah, no, the weird part is that when you get to the match, you understand the match didn't need any more hyping, right? But yeah, this I just like the confrontation between Pac and Ospreay, because you're seeing two guys at the top of their game, right? Like they'll, and not even two guys, like let's say all six, right? All six. Like, it's the minute that Pac said AEW is Death Triangle territory, I'm like, oh God, we're gonna lose now. But even though
I
we
thought the
called it,
same
even
thing.
even though we called it, we knew exactly who was gonna win. But like, yeah, it did its job. It kind of hyped the crowd up for the main event, and
Yeah.
and they kept calling it the main event. That's why I had
Mm-hmm.
some issues about the Punk Mox match, but we will get to that in a bit.
Yeah, 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 I mean, even just you talking about this and their stuff, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps. Again, it's like I just can't stop with these guys going at
This
it,
is
right?
so
I'm just
good.
holy crap. I don't know, man. There's something about Will Ospreay that has elevated him into that same level. Like he's like right up there. If I had to like I'm like really conflicted over Will versus Kenny. Who do I cheer for? I'm really conflicted. But
I
anyway,
I I know who I cheer for, obviously, but
I know who you cheer
but
for too.
if let's say Osprey were to win, I would want a rematch and I wouldn't be upset about it. Right. So yeah,
Yes.
I told you, Will Osprey quickly became my second favorite wrestler ever in such a short span. And when we get to tonight's match, when oh my God, like that's spoiler alert. Oh my God. That's all I have to
No
say.
kidding. But we will get there.
Yeah.
We have over an hour of AEW still to go through before
Let's
we
go.
get there. So yep. Okay, so it's 8:51
Mhm.
and Dr. Britt Baker
Britt.
DMD's music hits when I went, "Ooh, they're going to do some long main events tonight. They're going to do
Mhm.
those two matches and give them both a long time," I'm thinking at this point. And, I'm thinking, okay, so this is good. My hype level, we're back up to a solid 8. I'm like, Britt Baker, KiLynn King, let's do this. So
Yeah.
they recap the dark angle with KiLynn getting the better of Britt on that angle. So we see Britt early on in this match with a sling blade, but KiLynn comes back with a second rope missile drop kick. KiLynn then's driven face first into the turnbuckle. Britt goes out of the ring and pulls her arms, pulling her face into the ring post. Britt slaps and shoves KiLynn around, which pisses her off. There's a bit of a comeback, but Britt takes her down again. But KiLynn manages to counter the curb stomp into a release German and then a slam for 2. Really nice looking slam, too. Got her pretty high up. Then Britt comes back with a thrust kick and a kick to the face, followed by a curb stomp. Britt then puts the lockjaw in after a good taunt to the camera where she does the whole DMD
DMD.
thing, and the match is over. KiLynn King taps in a dominant performance by
By
Britt
Britt.
Baker in under 6 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, it was quick. You know what this match didn't have? 100 tornado DDTs. That's what this match didn't have, right?
Oh, you're
And
right.
and and you know what happened with this match? It was fantastic. Like these women hit each other hard. I was like, holy crap, they're hitting each other hard. And they wrestled well. There weren't any botches. It didn't look slow. Britt dominated. KiLynn
Hmm.
got like a couple things in there, but this is Britt Baker taking apart KiLynn King,
Hmm.
right? So I was like, Britt Baker is well, I don't think she's number one contender, but she was the women's champion for a reason. And as I said when we did our pre-show, this is going to show you how bad the previous week's match was with Tony Storm, and it did. It
Hmm.
absolutely did. And we know, and we can just we knew it before that it's not any of the other wrestlers. It is Tony Storm, and she needs a bit more practice because yeah, just watching Britt and KiLynn go at it, I'm like this match is great. This match was actually great. So, and it was quick. It was really
Yep.
quick too.
It was quick. It showed everything it needed to show. Britt dominant going into the pay-per-view, absolutely destroyed KiLynn King. But KiLynn King didn't look
Mm-hmm.
terrible either. She
She
got
was
in a
hitting
couple of
hard.
strong
Yeah,
moves. She hits hard. She looks good. And I want to see more KiLynn King.
same,
She has
same.
proven herself. She definitely needs to be part of this women's division
Mm-hmm.
conversation at this point. Very solid. Don't know if she's playing heel or face because she was heel
Yeah,
last week and face this week, but that's fine. She can figure her stuff out later. Right now, she's just serving as a really good, like solid wrestling opponent
yeah.
for the women because she carried Tony Storm last week and didn't need to carry Britt
Didn't
Baker
need.
this
Yeah,
week. So
agreed.
yeah, great match, good ending, right stuff happened, and then Britt Baker cuts a promo.
Mm-hmm.
She says, Cleveland, isn't it a shame about Thunder Rosa? It's sad, but let me remind you, when the champion was D.M.D, I wrestled my entire title reign with a broken frickin' wrist because that's what a champion does. For the PvP, we have half of Thunderstorm to deal with. And Tony, you'll be in a pay-per-view where someone actually gives a damn because you'll be in the ring with me. So Thunderstorm comes out now because they're all pissed off at this. But Hater jumps Tony Storm. Rebels there too. And then Hikaru Shida comes running out for the save. Britt's crew bails and runs to the back.
Yeah. It did what it had. Like Britt is just speaking the truth, like CM Punk did last week, right? Nothing she said was invalid. She wrestled with a broken hand, and I love the shots taken at Thunder Rosa. Though Thunder Rosa is actually injured and can't wrestle. So I love it, and I really want Britt to win again. I know she might not, but I really want her to win.
Yeah,
So
me too. Yeah, Britt Baker should be women's champ
yeah,
again. She needs that
I
belt.
agreed.
She's awesome when she's the champion.
Agreed.
Go win us. Go win the belt for us, Britt. Go. We love Pittsburgh.
Britsburg.
That's right. So Tony Schiavone's in the back now with Swerve and Our Glory and the Acclaimed. And Swerve says, we don't mind saving another tag team. And, you guys are ranked now. We like you. And Keith Lee says, yeah, we think you'd be worthy opponents for us. And Max says, we don't need your approval. We're the best homegrown tag team in AEW. And Bowen says, we're taking the titles because everyone loves the Acclaimed. And so the match will be on for All Out now. We're getting the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory for the AEW Tag Team Championship.
That's going to be a good match. That's the match they should have had before. But yeah, this is going to be a good match. I'm happy they're doing it. And yeah, the Acclaimed, they're funny, but again, last week when Private Party we were talking to Serve and Keith, and they're like, yeah, we're ranked, we're number 5,
Yeah.
right? But they're still ranked. Like, they don't have that humor, but yeah, I'm excited. Again, the card is filling up now, so I am
Yes.
happy with these matches.
Yes, this is good. Yeah, no matter what, this is going to be a good match
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, all 4 of these guys can go.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to. I don't think Swerve in Our Glory is going to lose this one. I don't think the
No,
Acclaimed are necessarily going to win, but you never know. Surprises tend to happen in AEW sometimes.
you don't say.
I
Surprises,
don't
eh?
say.
Okay.
So we go to 9 o'clock now, and at this point, my hype level, because I hear Jon Moxley's music, my hype level skyrockets to a 9.5. Because I'm like,
Sweet.
here we go. The first of our 2 really long main events. Jon Moxley comes out the wrong door again.
Get
He
lost.
immediately throws some garbage. I'm assuming because he realizes he's lost again. So he gets into an intersection. He asks, this time he gets smart. He clearly asks the fan for directions and they send him to the ring. So he actually gets there in less than 2 minutes this time. I was impressed. He's learning. Then CM Punk comes out. JR is hyped. He's going on about how this could be one of the greatest matches in wrestling history, blah, blah, blah. Excalibur keeps reminding us that they're going to stay with this as long as it takes. It's only 9:03 p.m. and Excalibur's already reminded us 2 to 3 times that they are staying on the air as long as these main events take. Mox apparently is 15-0 in 2022. CM Punk holds up his belt for a long time when he's announced, and then so at this point, my hype level is pushing a 10. There is a long stare down. They're staring at each other across the ring. The crowd is insanely loud. It's going back and forth. I mean, we're talking like main event, pay-per-view championship feel here. There's a very stiff collar and elbow tie-up. Mox beats Punk into the corner, yells at Punk. Punk slaps him, takes him to the other corner, beats him down to some booze. Mox headbutts Punk. Punk does a high round kick to Mox's head. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes into the actual fighting part. Punk screams in pain and holds his foot and goes down. So this is apparently his injured foot. He's screaming in pain. He's holding it. The ref calls for doctors. Punk struggles to his feet and Mox gives him a lariat and immediately begins hitting him with the hammer and anvil elbows over and over. He puts an ankle lock on Punk, pulls him up, gives him the Death Rider, kind of goes nuts for a moment, does a second Death Rider, covers Punk, 3 count, matches over. The doctors begin to check on Punk. Mox gets the belt, forgets where the tunnels are, wanders off in the crowd, and gets lost on his way out.
Yeah, so Jon Moxley is the world heavyweight champion for AEW. Punk
Yes.
Punk lost his first title defense.
Punk is the only champion in the history of AEW to never win a match as the
As
champion.
champion. Yeah.
He literally won the belt
And then lost it.
and then lost it. He won the belt, was injured in that match, had to go off to get better, came back, had exactly 1 match with the belt, and lost the belt in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yep. Shorter than Britt Baker and KiLynn King.
Yes.
Their entrances took longer than the match itself.
Yeah, at this point, I was like, I sent you a series of texts that were just
Yep.
ellipses. I was
Yep.
like, I didn't even know what to say. I was
I
just staring at the screen going,
I didn't know how to
what
react. I was like, what?
the
I'm like,
hell?
it happened, and I was like, where are we going with this? I'm so confused.
I was like, is he really injured again? Did he actually break his foot and they called an audible? And then I realized what told me that didn't happen was when they were helping CM Punk out of the ring and he looked back at the crowd and then whispered something to his trainer. Then they called out that that was his best friend trainer guy or something like that, right? And he didn't look hurt at all or even in pain. He just looked angry.
Yeah. If he was injured, Moxley would never have done the moves he did to him. Let's be real here. Like
The ankle lock,
yeah,
especially. The lariat, he probably could have gotten away with, and the Death Riders, he probably could have gotten
yeah,
away
but
with because it
the
was a foot
ankle lock
injury.
and all that stuff, no, he would never have done that, right? So I knew right away he wasn't injured. But I don't know what they're doing here with the story. I'm like, wait. So CM Punk lost cleanly to Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley's now no longer interim. He's the world champion. What's happening at All Out?
I don't know because Punk just looks like a colossal idiot now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I something is up. And this is I didn't like I was thinking about this. And again, this is me fantasy booking, and it's not even fantasy booking. Do you think possibly there is something up with MJF and CM Punk? As in they are in cahoots with each other. Do you think that there can be any possible scenario that happens?
Sorry for the long pause, everyone. I was legitimately thinking about what Krishna just said. Um, I don't know. I mean,
Because
I would have to wrap my brain around that one because that seems a little out there to me. But I mean, I'm not saying it's out there in the sense it couldn't happen. It just seems like I don't know how we get there.
that's the thing, right? That's the thing. And I think um see like it was funny. I was watching a video the other day which said, has CM Punk always been a heel and we never noticed it in AEW, right? Obviously because fans just love him so much, he's just it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, is this a long play for something? I don't know what, and that's the thing. I don't know what, and I could be totally wrong. It doesn't have to be anything with MJF. But then, how does Hangman come into play for this now?
I
Right?
don't know.
There's so many things, and this is why I'm like, normally we can see the writing on the wall. We kind of can book, right? Like the way that they're booking, we know what they're doing. This one here, the way this match ended, I was like, wait. So if this ends up being oh, Punk sprained his ankle, whatever, and we're just gonna have a match at All Out, then AEW wasted my time. You've literally wasted my time here. Why do this big build up just to have this injury, just to force the match at All Out? That's
Right.
wasting my time. That's totally wasting
Absolutely.
my time, and I'm not gonna appreciate that at all. But I don't think AEW is doing that. I think there's something more to this, right?
Well, they're telling the story of Punk coming back too soon.
But we did that with Bryan Danielson. Why are we doing this again?
A little bit, but Bryan Danielson, I mean, they did it a little bit with him and he's off doing other stuff. But JR was saying, and they all of them in the booth were saying it over and over
Yeah,
and over, right? They were drilling it into our head that he lost because he came back
came back
too
too soon.
soon.
Yep.
That's not a coincidence that they repeated that multiple times, right? And it's also clear to me they had a lot of extra stuff and it's not like they ran out of time or
No, no,
had
no,
or
no.
no,
No.
this was clearly booked
The
in.
plan. Yeah, this is the
This
plan.
was planned,
Yeah.
which is just bizarre to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to sit and think about this because it it was impactful enough on me because like I said, CM Punk's right up there with like Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay for me, right? I mean, Punk's been my guy for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just deflating. I mean,
Yep.
this took the wind right
Yep.
out of my sails for this. I was
Yep.
like, what the hell did I just watch? Did they really just do that? I mean, okay, great. Mox looked deadly, but
Not that deadly.
no, but not
Yeah.
that deadly because he just took an injured dude and beat the crap out of him. I mean, way to go, dude. Way to go. I probably could have beaten CM Punk after that. Um, maybe. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was just like massively deflated. I even like the next segment and stuff, I was just kind of like, I don't care. But but anyway, yeah, I don't know where they're going with this. You could be right with some of that, but I'm gonna have to give it some thought. I just
Think
like
about it.
I
Just think
yeah,
about what I said.
I got nothing right now. But
Yeah.
so we go from that to Tony in the back with Christian. And so he said, Tony says, we all saw what Jungle Boy did to Christian with his arm last week. And, he's made the challenge to you for a one-on-one for All Out. And Christian says, I extended an olive branch to you last week. I gave you one last chance to apologize to me for losing the tag championships. One last chance to apologize about the hurtful things you said. I said some
So
things too, but
stupid.
it came from a place of love. You think you're smarter than you are, but you'll never be as smart as me. You have the audacity to challenge me at All Out. You try to injure me deliberately. That's fine, Jack. I've seen it all. I've done it all. All Out. You will find out I'm not average. I'm special. At All Out, at less than 100%, you'll find out you'll never be in my league. I accept your challenge.
Yep. Did his job. Christian is just being funny as normal. As we said, just adding matches to the all
Mm-hmm.
out card. So
That's right.
again, I'm happy. I'm finally happy that they're clarified the match, and I'm ready to go for that match too.
Yep. I wonder what Luchasaurus is going to do for that one, but
Mm-hmm.
we shall find out. And then a segment I totally forgot about because at this point I'm still kind of just staring at my TV screen going,
What the
what
heck?
happened? And I'm also occasionally checking Twitter now, trying to figure out if there's like, was he actually injured? What's going on? I mean, I'm really obsessed with the CM Punk thing at this point. But Ricky Starks comes out. He says, I haven't been in the best of moods because I'm hurt and pissed off. Team Taz is over. I lost the FTW title. I've had to deal with QT in the factory and then Hobbs turning his back on me. Talent in the back is telling me this is show business, not the friends business. I thought I had a friend in Hobbs. When I broke my neck, he called me every single week to check up on me. He wanted me to come back. But people wanting you to do good never want to see you do better than them. Hobbs, when you were standing around being Britt's security guard, you met me and I showed you what it meant to sit at my table. I made sure our spotlight was big enough for both of us, and you blamed me. You hit me in the neck. You know I was close to losing all of this again. I called you my friend, but you know what I call you now? A low down, dirty, low ball scheming snake. There you go. And where I'm from, we cut the heads off snakes. Apparently, that's what they do in the bayou. How about you bring your to Chicago and fight me at All Out?
Yeah. Uh, Again, another promo building up matches for
Yes.
all out. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm
Yep.
ready to see Ricky Starks in action again. So yeah, uh, good promo.
Yep. Exactly. And no Hobbs interference or anything. It was just Ricky Starks came out and cut a promo. I was like, wait, no one's coming out
Thing.
at
Yeah.
all? He's just gonna come out and cut the promo and leave? That's it? Like I just okay, fine, whatever. But that's fine. I mean, it was a good promo. It did what it needed to do, and we move along in the show.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have another promo. It's promo night. Mox is in the back and he's going to cut a promo. He says, best in the world, my ass. Surprised people are the ones who always write me off. Those people don't matter. They never did. The answer to every problem in professional wrestling is always Jon Moxley. No one can do what I do like I do. I'm not just some guy. I am the guy in this industry. There are no limitations on what I can do. Everyone is always asking when it's going to be my time. My time is right goddamn now. So apparently Mox is in fact John Cena.
His time is now. That's right.
Time is now.
Yeah, I mean, good promo. Um, Again, I just don't know where they're going with this, and that's why I'm so surprised. I just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think this promo just said, hey, yeah, I got the belt. Yay, me. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
like if
great.
if
Thanks
you're
for
a
rubbing
fan,
it in my face, jerk.
but if you're a fan in the audience tonight, at that point you feel deflated. You're like, wait, I thought we are gonna get an actual match
Mm-hmm.
for the World Heavyweight Championship. We didn't,
Yeah.
right? So I would be pissed. I'd be like, are you effing kidding me? Right? That this is the way they're gonna finish it, even though I know this long-term storytelling. But if I'm spending my money, I'm gonna be there. What the hell? All right.
And this is where we see the genius of AEW. Because I'm watching these promos, I'm deflated. I'm listening to John Mox brag about having the belt. I'm deflated. I'm like, really? I don't know about this dynamite at all now. I'm just like, wow, I was like so hyped before this. I'm sitting at about a hype level of about 3 right now, right? And then they recap Kenny Omega's return. And I'm like, oh, they're recapping Kenny Omega's return. right before the Will Ospreay match.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
they're going there 100%.
Yeah.
And my hype level immediately goes from 3 to an 8.5, right? And 9:26, the main event starts. And we get Don
Don
Callis on
Callis.
commentary. And I'm like, well, what do you know? My hype level now goes to a 9 because I'm like, okay, they're doing this. They've
Yep.
got him out on commentary too. United Empire comes out. Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis with Will Ospreay. And then after the commercial break, where they apparently just leave United Empire hanging out in the ring for 3 minutes, they bring out Penta, El Zero Miedo, Ray Phoenix, and Pac, the Death Triangle. Now, these guys are facing off against each other across the ring. My hype level is now a 10. We start the match with Ray Phoenix and Will Ospreay. I'm going to tell you right out of the gate, I just, I have no idea
Can't
how to say
capture.
how they started.
Yeah.
I was watching it. My wife came downstairs at this exact moment, and I am just like, she's hearing me going, "Oh my God, holy crap!" Right? Like, and I'm not even typing. I'm just like, I turn around. I said, "How am I supposed to write this
Mm-hmm.
down? What they just did? I have no clue." There was like Hurricane Ranas and a bunch of like reversals, and it was bloody awesome. I mean, I don't even know how to describe the opening of this match between Ray and Ospreay. I don't know if I've ever seen two guys that fluid, that crisp, going back and forth like that. It was insane. And then all six of them went at it.
Yep.
And then you get Ray with a double cutter on Aussie Open. You get Pac and Penta do a huge back body drop to Ospreay. There's triple dives onto United Empire outside the ring, and Pac actually lands on his feet.
Yep.
Ray and Ospreay are at it again in the ring, and then Penta and Ray with a Cazadora splash onto Ospreay. Callis notes now that Ospreay is imitating Kenny Omega in Japan. And
Yep.
Excalibur comments on the war of words between them. I'm like, we are totally
Oh
going
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
Penta chops Ospreay, big chop. I mean, like when I say chop, we're talking chops. Ray with shoulder hits to him, then a drop kick to his back. Penta does a kick to Ospreay's leg. Ray with a submission on Ospreay, then rolls him up. I mean, Ospreay's really taken a lot of damage from
Mm-hmm.
these two in the early part of the match. Ospreay managed to reverse into the corner, but Ray gets the advantage again. There's a headlock takedown into an armbar and trying for what looks like the rings of Saturn on Ospreay. Ray tries to throw Ospreay, but he hangs on to the ropes. Mark Davis then pulls Ray, and Kyle nails Ray. So Ospreay now does a sky twister press to the floor, taking out Pac and Penta. I was like, what the heck was that? There's a launch drop kick to Ray in the corner for 2, where both the members of Aussie Open launch Ospreay through the air into a drop kick. It just looked incredible. Davis with the senton on Ray for 2, and then you can see the best friends at ringside with
Yep.
Danhausen. Aussie Open hits forearms twice, hits their forearms together twice. Like Ray Phoenix is dodging the both of them, and they just keep clashing their forearms together. And then Ray manages to arm drag both of them, gets the hot tag off to Penta, who then takes out Aussie Open with cross bodies and double sling blades, and then a Cazadora into a crucifix. And I'm like, there's Penta. You know, I mean, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, look at that sequence. Fear Factor gets blocked, but Penta hits thrust kicks to Davis. Corkscrew, but Ospreay sets up Penta for an off the rope elbow by Davis for 2. Davis works over Penta during the commercial and tags in Ospreay. There's some vicious head kicks to Penta, and then Ospreay wrenches on Penta's mask. There's a delayed vertical to Penta for 2, which leads to a Zero Miedo spot by Penta with Ospreay. But Ospreay, I love it. He winds up to hit him with an elbow and then pokes his eye with the other hand. It was great. And Penta does a kick to Ospreay, an upside down hot tag to Pac. It's insane. Like the kick was upside down, not the tag. It's a hot tag out to Pac. Pac with a German to Ospreay. Ray assists for another German for a 2 count on Ospreay. Both of the tag teams at this point pull the other guy out, and it breaks down now. You get the Lucha Brothers versus Aussie Open on the outside. The Lucha Brothers with like a double thrust kick. Aussie Open with shots. Oh no, they're in the inside. Sorry, they're still in the ring at this point, because this is when Ospreay and Pac come in while the two tag teams are fighting, and they do double poison ranas, ending with them staring at each other across the ring. Insane. I stopped at this point because you've got Ospreay and Pac, and I just set the computer down and watched,
Yeah. Exactly.
because I may love doing the podcast, but I'm a wrestling fan first. And with these two, there's a huge, all I've said is there's a huge sequence here. They went back and forth with some amazing moves that, and I've talked about Ray and Ospreay at the beginning. This was like that, just insane. And it ends in this Oz cutter, and both men are down. The ref counts. Ospreay gets up first, gets him in a short arm chop. You know, we still have 10 minutes left in this match. It's just insane. Ospreay then gets hung up on the rope. Avalanche brainbuster. Kyle tosses Ray into the guardrail. The tag teams now, this is when they're outside now. The tag teams are fighting each other outside the ring, leaving Pac and Ospreay more or less in. Once in a while, one of them comes in. Davis comes in and beats Pac down a bit. Ospreay does a headbutt into a spinning backbreaker. Ospreay and Pac fight on the turnbuckle until Ospreay headbutts Pac repeatedly, but then Pac ends up shoving him down. He goes for the Black Arrow, but Ospreay interrupts. Ospreay goes for an avalanche power bomb, but Ray does one of the, comes in and saves him. Ray tries a Hurricane Run on Ospreay off the rope. I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. Ray's standing on like the actual ropes, not on the turnbuckle, but on the ropes, and does a Hurricane Run into Ospreay. Ospreay lands on his feet. Fenix then hits him though with a cutter, which was just insane. Penta and Ray both take out Aussie Open again. So Pac is now set up. He does the Black Arrow, but he eats the knees. And that Ospreay rolls him up for a 2 count. Pac reverses the Stormbreaker shortly after that into a pin, but another 2 count. There's at this point it breaks down in the ring again, ending with a destroyer to Fletcher by Penta. Pac gets his DDT on Ospreay. He goes to the top, but Aussie Open drags Ospreay out of the ring. Now, Pac at this point stands on the top of the ring post, not the ropes, on the top of the ring post, and does a vault back onto the floor, hitting Ospreay and Aussie Open. But he lands in front of Kip Sabian, or we think it's Kip Sabian. It's a guy wearing Kip Sabian's box. So Pac at this point starts jawing with this Kip Sabian. He pulls the box off, and it's some guy with makeup and his mouth taped shut with duct tape. And Kip Sabian attacks Pac from behind and takes him down. The crowd is actually chanting Kip.
Yep.
United Empire at this point gets back in the ring, and they are taking Ray Fenix apart. So they end up doing a lifted Oz cutter to end this sequence on Ray for 3, and United Empire gets the victory. And let's talk about the match before we get to the stuff after.
I know that you said the Daniel or Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia match last week was probably one of the best matches you've ever seen on Dynamite. I think this potentially could be the best match I've ever seen on Dynamite, period. What I saw in the ring tonight from Will Ospreay, which I don't know why I'm shocked, but I just am, was everything that I love about Kenny Omega. The reversals, like every single the way this guy, the counters, like these guys are just on a springboard or a trampoline throughout the entire match, because everything, they're literally just bouncing around. Like you telling me a hurricanrana and you flip in the air and just land on your feet like it's nothing, like it's absolutely nothing. No, this match again blew me away. I don't know. Again, I go back to I don't know why I'm surprised I about this, because I've been so impressed with them anyways. But when Fenix and Ospreay started, I'm like, oh my god, we're in for something right now, and we got it right off the bat. Right off the bat, they didn't wait. They just went, and everything just kept building and like when Aussie Open kept giving those shots to Fenix, like throughout the match, I'm like, oh, Fenix is gonna eat this L. I know he is. He's so gonna be the one being pinned, and as usual, Fenix gets pinned, right? But like when he did the springboard off the top rope and the guy caught him in the air with the rising uppercut kind of thing, I was like, what the hell? Like, this is insane. The Pac flip and everything. We totally called Kip Sabian fake out kind of thing. We knew that was gonna happen. Happy to have you back, Kip. It's been a long time. But wow, this match, like after I had to like take a breath, I'm like, whew, what did we just witness? And this isn't even Aussie Open versus the Elite.
I
So
know. I know.
I I don't know. Like I don't know how you get better than this, but we are gonna get better than this.
Maybe.
Which which is gonna suck because I'm sorry to say this, the other brackets kind of sucks. And like in comparison, we are the semifinal, semifinal, right? The semifinal where they face each other. Is that
Yes.
semifinal? Yeah.
Yeah,
The
semifinals.
semifinal is going to be the best match of the entire tournament. If it any way passes this one, because I'm kind of saying right now this is the best. This is going to be the best match of the entire tournament. But I will hold my judgment until the Elite face off against Aussie Open and Will Ospreay, because that's going to be badass. Like,
Yep.
oh,
And we'll get to that in a moment. But
oh,
you know, and I did say last week, I said last week that Garcia versus Danielson was one of the best matches, if not the best match I'd ever seen on Dynamite.
yeah,
How the heck was I supposed to know we'd get potentially a better match the next week? This match, I mean,
don't
like I
know.
said, my wife came downstairs and I'm just freaking out.
Yeah,
This is why I watch wrestling. I'm just sitting there going, what the
100%,
hell was that? You
hundred
know, it's
percent.
just like it was so fast and they were just so quick. You couldn't keep up with what the heck they were doing. It
Yeah,
was just insane. Like you had two guys who are two of the best wrestlers on the face of the planet going at it to open the match. And then you get Pac and Osprey.
oh,
And I was just like, I this is why I watch wrestling.
yeah,
This is why I watch professional wrestling. From the epic storytelling last week in the Garcia and Danielson match to this kind of, and you know what, the story's here too. It's a much more subtle
mm,
story because it's the story of the invasion of the United Empire into AEW territory, which they started telling the story with the Pox promo. You're here in our territory and they're here to take the gold away, right? I like it a lot. And then they also make you well aware that Osprey's got beef with Kenny Omega.
Kenny.
And they
Yep.
told that story for the fans who may not have been, you know, reading all the internet stuff, although most AEW fans do. But, you know, excellent, excellent, excellent. You get to the end, the right team wins.
Yep.
And then just as they're in the ring celebrating, Battle Cry hits, and out comes the Elite with Don Callis. The interesting thing about this was not that it was just, oh, the Elite standing there going, oh, yeah, yeah, you're our opponents next time or anything. You immediately had Will Ospreay gesturing to Kenny Omega going, get in the ring, right?
Yep.
Come on, let's go. You and me. And he goes, and he was saying, you know, you and me. He
Yeah.
sends his guys to the back.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega turns around, talks to the Bucks, and shoves them back. And he's walking towards the ring by himself to face Will Ospreay. And I'm like, at this point, I'm going, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but it's like, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. But then, of course, Don
100%.
Callis stops him and, you
Stops it.
know, the whole thing. And then that's how it's going off the air. But we go off the air, Battle Cry playing, and Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay staring down in AEW Dynamite.
You know, it's funny because we always say everyone wants to, like, any match with Kenny Omega is going to be great. That's why everyone wants to face him. I'm starting to think any match with Will Ospreay is also going to be great. It's going to be a 5-star match regardless of who he's fighting against. These two together should get a 10-star match right at this point, because I don't know what they're going to do. And here's the thing. They're facing each other in the semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
Long-term storytelling here. Something is going to happen. There is something that we're not even thinking about that's going to happen. And this feud between Omega and Osprey is just going to continue. It's going to continue, and I'm all for it. Who knows? They may even continue to the New Japan event that they're going to be having. Wrestle Kingdom, is that what it's called? Wrestle
Well,
Kingdom, right?
that's, yeah, it's in January,
January.
where they
Hey,
will be booking AEW talent
ex-
on, but it's the same, first one night is the same night as Dynamite. So they can't send everybody.
I can't send everybody, but I don't know. Like, I you're right. Like, that the Mox match was kind of like, what the hell? This match was so exciting. And what I loved about this match, it didn't take the big names, Punk, Moxley, Omega. Now, I'm not saying that Ospreay isn't a big name, but you had these non-WWE guys. I'm not counting Pac as a WWE guy because he had his issues and he left a long time ago. We just closed it out with no huge stars in the ring, but though I count them as stars, but no, WWE
Yeah,
wouldn't count them as stars. Putting on a match that WWE and every other wrestling organization wishes they could put on. Wishes. And we got it for free. This
yeah,
wasn't a pay-per-view match. We just got this match for free. And I'm like, that's what I said to you. I'm like, did I just witness the best Dynamite match I've ever seen? Right? I don't know because I'm like everything else, I've just forgotten about it because of this match. Right? It's so good.
yeah.
It was like the steel cage match between the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, right? How amazing that match was. This match, I
I'd have to go back and watch that match again because the
the
storytelling in
story
that
was
match
was
was
good, yeah,
exceptional,
yeah. But
right?
I look at this match and I'm like, remember when Pac first faced off against Kenny and Kenny had, you know, kind of said, I'm good, I'm better than Pac. I don't like he kind of
Yeah.
like he was it was basically cocky about it. And we watched Pac do all those reversals and Kenny didn't notice. I was watching Ospreay do the same thing and I'm like, how are you guys doing this?
Hmm.
Like, how is this possible, right? And now that they're building up the feud between United Empire and Ospreay and the Elite, hey,
Hmm.
I'm kind of sad Adam Cole and the Red Dragon aren't here, but wow, their
Yep.
replacements, holy crap.
Yeah, can we take a moment to acknowledge how good Aussie Open is? Kyle Fletcher and
Yes,
Mark Davis, my
yes.
God, they're good.
They're overshadowed by Will Ospreay, but holy crap, they're good.
Yeah, I mean, and they're also overshadowed by the fact they're fighting against the Lucha Brothers,
That's
who are
true.
like one of
That's
the
true.
best tag teams in the
And
entire
Pac.
world. But I mean, Aussie Open is like a 1B to their 1A, you know? I
Yeah,
mean, they're
agreed.
really good. If
Agreed.
take away the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, they match up against any other
Anybody
tag
else?
team in
Agreed.
AEW to me. You know,
Agreed.
they're extremely good. Their double team moves are crazy. They work
Yeah.
so well with Will Ospreay. It's not even funny. These three guys together are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I again just shocked
Yep.
about the last match.
I'm all in on the United Empire.
Yeah. If they win, you know what? I can't be upset. I really can't be
Yeah.
upset.
I'm having trouble here. I'm really like, next week I'm hurt because I've got like my guys, the Elite, taking on my other guys, the United Empire, and someone has to lose.
Someone has to lose. And if you're AEW, well, now that they've done this swerve, no pun intended, with CM Punk losing, I'm just like anything could happen in that match next week.
Oh,
So I
did
don't
something
know.
happen with CM Punk tonight?
Well, he's he's no longer the champ if that's anything.
No,
But
I'm sorry. What was I? I'm pretty sure the only thing that happened on Dynamite tonight was a match between United Empire and Death Triangle.
fair enough. I could see why you said that because hey, if they wrestled for an hour, I don't think anyone would have complained.
Fight
Forever,
forever.
forever. Agreed.
Yes, please, thank you. That would be bloody awesome. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, that was Dynamite. Whew, that was an emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to our thought that wraps up the evening. Krishna.
The one thing I'm going to say that wraps up the evening for me is Will Ospreay and Aussie Open have arrived. That is all.
I will supplement you with mine, which is the Empire Strikes Back.
Whew, what a show, right? Because it's like it's like watching a movie and it starts off pretty good and then it kind of slows down, like has some pacing problems, but it just has a killer ending and you're like, wow, that movie was so great, right? Because you're kind of ignoring some of the stuff that happened before. That's how I feel about tonight. I'm like, holy crap, like sorry, I forgot to mention this final match was on the Omega level. Let's not get it twisted here.
Yes, yeah,
This
let's
was
let's make that clear.
100%
We
on
both
the Omega
agree.
level. Yeah.
Omega level match, 100%.
Oof.
Yep.
Bill, when they come to Toronto, I mean, I hope I get a match like this. I
Oh, you're
really do.
telling me. Well, look. This Dynamite to me, you could liken it. You came up with the perfect analogy. I'm just gonna run this one down fast because we started off and we've got, Aragorn hanging out in Rohan a little
Hmm.
bit, blah blah blah, and they're getting all the horsemen together. They're heading off to Helm's Deep. And then we went and spent some time with
With the
Frodo and
Hobbits.
Sam, right? And like, that took a little while and I started to feel like falling asleep a little bit. And I'm kind of upset. I'm like, can we just go back to the good stuff again? And then we got the Battle of Helm's
Helm's
Deep at the
Deep.
end and everything was right in the world again,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So I think with that, we will have to say goodbye. Because as the great one always says, goodbye, everybody, and good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.